I wake up to the sound of screaming, not unusual. In fact, it would be more disturbing if I woke up to silence. The screaming comes from the arena 3 blocks down. Someone's morning entertainment is another person's nightmare. That's life under the blood god's rule. Every single day starts with violence. And if you're lucky, it's not yours. My name is Marcus Caney, or at least it used to be. Names don't matter much here anymore. What matters is your kill count, your scars, and whether you're still breathing by sundown. I used to be a manufacturing worker on this world, back when it belonged to the Imperium, back when we had structure, rules, and the dull safety of knowing tomorrow would probably look like today. Those days are long gone. The takeover happened fast. One day we're assembling tank parts for the Astra Militarum. The next day the planetary governor is on every Vox screen with his head replaced by a brass helm, screaming about skulls and blood. Turns out he'd been a Khorne cultist for years, just waiting for the right moment. When the moment came, it was apocalyptic. The PDF turned on us. The Arbites fought back for maybe an hour before they were overwhelmed. I watched a bloodletter tear through a riot shield like it was paper. The first week was pure chaos in every sense of the word. Mobs of screaming cultists dragged people into the streets. Some were sacrificed right there on the pavement. Others were forced into makeshift arenas to fight for their lives. I survived by hiding in a ventilation shaft for 3 days, living off condensation and a single ration bar I'd had in my pocket. When I finally crawled out, the world had changed completely. The hive city I'd known was gone. Buildings had been adorned with skulls. Rivers of blood ran through the gutters, and I genuinely couldn't tell if it was symbolic or literal. Turned out to be both. The new rulers, the Khorne warbands that had swept in from the outer systems, wasted no time establishing their version of order. And by order, I mean a hierarchy of violence where the strong do whatever they want and the weak try desperately to become strong before they're killed. I stumbled through the streets in a daze that first day, bodies everywhere, some fresh, some days old and bloating in the heat. The smell was indescribable, a mix of copper, rot, and burning promethium. Every corner had a new horror. I saw a man with his ribcage torn open, still somehow alive, gasping and begging. I saw children no older than 10 wielding rusted knives, their eyes wild with bloodlust. I saw a woman laughing as she painted a mural with her own blood. That's when I understood. This wasn't just conquest, this was transformation. The planet itself was being reshaped into something that pleased Khorne, a place where violence wasn't just accepted, it was celebrated, where mercy was weakness and compassion was heresy. I had 2 choices, adapt or die. So I adapted. Every citizen under Khorne's rule owes a debt. They call it the Blood Tithe. It's exactly what it sounds like. Once a week, we're required to provide blood, not metaphorically, literally. They've set up collection stations throughout the city, staffed by robed bloodletters and mortal champions. You show up, they cut your arm or leg, drain a liter or 2 into brass bowls, and send you on your way. Miss a tithe, and you become the tithe. The first time I went, I nearly fainted. Not from the blood loss, though that didn't help, but from the sheer scale of it. Hundreds of people lined up, shuffling forward like cattle. The collection station was in what used to be a medical facility. Ironic. The walls were covered in cornate symbols, the 8-pointed star and the skull rune. The air reeked of iron and incense. Some kind of foul mixture the cultists burned to honor the blood god. The collector who took my blood was a massive brute in crimson armor. His voice was a wet rasp through his skull-faced helm. He grabbed my arm without a word, sliced it open with a jagged knife that looked like it had never been cleaned, and held it over a brass bowl. I watched my blood pour out, steaming slightly in the cold air. It felt like it took forever. When the bowl was full, he released me and pointed to a table where medici thralls waited with cauterizing irons. No stitches, no bandages, just searing heat to seal the wound. I limped out of there dizzy and weak, but alive. The blood they collect goes to rituals. I've heard stories. They pour it over altars, offer it to demon princes, use it to anoint new champions. Sometimes they dump it into massive pits where lesser demons writhe and feast. The whole system is designed to keep Khorne's favor flowing, and it works. The demons are everywhere. Bloodletters patrol the streets like enforcers. Fleshhounds hunt down those who try to flee. I once saw a bloodthirster perched atop the governor's palace, wings spread, roaring into the sky. That image is burned into my brain forever. But the blood tithe isn't just about rituals. It's about control. By forcing us to give blood regularly, they keep us weak. Too weak to rebel, too weak to fight back. And they make it clear that this is mercy, that we should be grateful we're allowed to live at all. Many people start to believe it. I've seen workers smile as they hand over their blood, praising choosing Khorne for the honor. It's sickening, but I understand it. When your options are compliance or death, compliance starts to look pretty good. The tithes have created a black market, naturally. Some people pay others to give blood in their place. Risky business. If you're caught, both parties are executed on the spot. But desperation makes people stupid. I considered it once when I was recovering from a work injury and couldn't afford to lose more blood. In the end, I dragged myself to the station and barely made it through. The collector laughed at my weakness. I hated him for it. Still do. If the blood tithe is the heartbeat of life under Khorne, the arenas are the soul. Every district has at least one. Some are massive structures that seat thousands. Others are just cleared lots surrounded by scrap metal fencing, but all of them serve the same purpose: spectacle through slaughter. The arenas are where the new social hierarchy is determined. Win fights, you move up. Lose fights, you die. It's that simple. The champions, those who survive dozens of bouts, live like kings. They get the best food, the cleanest water, the most comfortable housing. Everyone else scrambles for scraps. And the only way to improve your lot is to step into the sand and prove yourself. I've been in the arenas 4 times, not by choice. They do random lotteries in the lower districts. Your number comes up, you fight. No appeals, no substitutions. The first time, I thought I was dead. They threw me into a pit with a guy twice my size, all muscle and rage. He had a rusted chain axe. I had a broken pipe. The crowd screamed for blood. I don't remember much of the fight, just flashes. His axe swinging, me dodging, my pipe connecting with his knee, him falling, me hitting him again and again and again until the screaming stopped. When it was over, I looked down at the body and realized I'd caved in his skull. My hands were shaking. My clothes were soaked in blood. The crowd was chanting my name. Marcus, Marcus, Marcus. I felt sick, but I also felt alive in a way I hadn't since before the takeover. That rush, that primal surge of adrenaline. It's addictive. I understand now why some people volunteer for the arenas. It's not just survival. It's the only time you feel like you have control. The arena masters are a strange breed. Most of them are former gladiators who survived long enough to retire. They organize the fights, manage the betting pools, and ensure the blood keeps flowing. They answer to the Khorne war band leaders, but they have a surprising amount of autonomy. As long as the shows are entertaining and the skulls keep piling up, they're left alone. I've seen every kind of fight imaginable. One-on-one duels with blades, group melees where a dozen people are thrown in and only one walks out, fights against captured orcs or feral mutants. Once, they even had a chaos spawn in the arena. That was a massacre. The creature killed 6 people before a champion with a power axe managed to bring it down. The crowd went insane. Blood for the blood god, they chanted. Skulls for the skull throne. Between fights, the arenas host executions. Traitors, cowards, heretics, anyone who displeases the new regime gets dragged out and killed for entertainment. Sometimes it's quick, a blade to the neck. Other times it's drawn out. I watched them slowly dismember a man who'd tried to organize a resistance. It took hours. His screams echoed across the district. By the end, even the bloodthirsty crowd was silent. Message received. Order, such as it is, comes from the enforcers. These are the champions and cultists who've proven their worth in blood and been granted authority. They wear scavenged armor painted red and brass, adorned with skulls and chains. Most carry brutal weapons, chain axes, chain swords, power mauls. They patrol the streets, settling disputes the only way Khorne approves, through violence. Disputes are settled in spontaneous duels. Someone accuses you of stealing, fight them. Someone insults your honor, fight them. Someone looks at you wrong, you guessed it, fight them. The enforcers don't investigate or mediate. They just ensure both parties are armed and make sure one of them dies. Winner takes all. It's chaos, but it's functional chaos. People think twice before starting trouble when they know it'll end in a death match. The hierarchy is surprisingly clear despite the constant violence. At the top are the chaos lords, the warlords who command entire regions. Below them are the champions, legendary fighters who've earned their place through countless victories. Then come the enforcers and veteran gladiators. After that, it's skilled workers, anyone useful enough to keep alive. And at the bottom are the rest of us, the expendable masses. I've learned to navigate this system by staying useful and staying quiet. I work in a weapons forge now, repairing chain axes and sharpening blades. It's brutal work. The heat is oppressive, the hours endless, but it keeps me fed and relatively safe. The forge masters are Khorne cultists naturally. They treat us workers like tools, disposable and easily replaced. But as long as I produce quality work, they leave me alone. The warriors are a different breed entirely. The berserkers, those fully given to Khorne, are terrifying up close. Their eyes are bloodshot and wild. They speak in growls and roars. Some have mutations, extra teeth, claws, horns. They exist in a constant state of barely controlled rage. I've seen them fly into frenzies over nothing. One time, a berserker killed 3 of his own squad mates because they didn't chant loud enough during a ritual. No punishment, no repercussions. That's just how things are. But it's not all mindless violence. There's strategy here too. The smart ones, the champions who've survived for years, understand that Khorne values martial skill as much as raw aggression. They train constantly, honing their abilities. They study their opponents. They plan their battles. I once saw a champion named Draken dismantle an opponent twice his size using nothing but technique and precision. The crowd appreciated it, and so did Khorne, apparently, because Draken's still alive and thriving. The enforcers also handle the corpse crews. That's what we call the squads, responsible for clearing bodies and collecting skulls. Every kill in the city is tallied. The skulls are cleaned, sometimes engraved, and added to the massive pyramids that dot the urban landscape. These structures are offerings to Khorne, monuments to his glory. The largest one is in the central plaza, easily 100 feet tall. It's made entirely of human skulls, tens of thousands of them, maybe hundreds of thousands. I try not to look at it when I pass by, but it's impossible to ignore. Despite the constant violence, life has a rhythm. You wake up, you work, you survive. The work varies. Some labor in forges like me, others toil in fields growing whatever twisted crops still thrive in this corrupted soil. Still others serve in support roles, cooking, cleaning, repairing infrastructure. The regime needs workers. Dead men don't produce. Food is scarce but available. Rations are distributed daily, usually some kind of protein paste mixed with fungus and grains. It tastes like rust and despair, but it keeps you alive. Water is rationed too. The purification systems are barely functional, so everything has a metallic tang. I've gotten used to it. You get used to everything eventually. Housing is communal. They've crammed us into hab blocks that were overcrowded even before the takeover. Now it's worse. 10-15 people to a room. No privacy, no comfort, just exhausted bodies collapsing at the end of each shift. The smell is overwhelming. Sweat, blood, unwashed flesh. But you learn to ignore it. Sleep deprivation is the real enemy. Between the work shifts, the mandatory rituals, and the arena lotteries, you're lucky to get 4 hours of rest a night. The rituals are daily occurrences. Every morning we're gathered in the district square for the blood prayer. A champion or cultist priest leads us in chants to Khorne. We recite the litanies: blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, let the galaxy burn. You have to participate. They watch. Anyone who doesn't shout loud enough or shows hesitation gets dragged to the front and used as an example. I've seen throats slit mid-prayer for lack of enthusiasm. There's also a strange camaraderie among us survivors. We don't trust each other, not really. Trust is a liability here, but we help where we can. A worker slips you an extra ration when the overseers aren't looking. Someone warns you that your number might come up in the next lottery. Small acts of defiance that remind us we're still human. Barely. I have a few people I'd almost call friends. There's Rena, a woman who works in the forge with me. She's tough as nails, scarred from a dozen arena fights. She doesn't talk much, but when she does, it's usually to crack a dark joke about our situation. Then there's Gregor, an older man who used to be a preacher. He's lost his faith in the Emperor, but he hasn't given up entirely. He whispers old prayers under his breath when he thinks no one's listening. And there's Lena, young, maybe 18. She clings to hope in a way that's both inspiring and heartbreaking. I try to look out for her when I can, but survival here isn't just physical, it's mental. You have to compartmentalize. You have to separate yourself from the horrors. When I'm in the arena, I'm not Marcus. I'm something else, a beast, a killer. When I'm in the forge, I focus on the work, the heat of the metal, the rhythm of the hammer. I don't think about the person who'll wield the blade I'm sharpening. I don't think about the lives it will take. I just make it sharp and move on to the next one. Not everyone accepts this life. Some resist, some try to escape, some organize small rebellions. I've seen them all fail. Khorne's forces are too strong, too numerous, too fanatical, and the punishments for resistance are designed to break any remaining spirit. Early on, a group tried to organize a resistance cell. They managed to sabotage a supply depot, killing a dozen cultists. For a brief moment, we had hope. Maybe the Imperium would come. Maybe someone would save us. That hope died fast. The Chaos Lords responded with overwhelming force. They rounded up everyone in the district where the rebels operated. Didn't matter if you were involved or not. They executed every 10th person on the spot. Bullet to the head. No ceremony, no mercy. The rest were forced to fight in the arenas, not against each other, but against Khorne berserkers, fully armored, rage-fueled warriors against starving civilians with improvised weapons. It was a massacre. I was in the crowd that day. They made us watch. The screams still haunt me. When it was over, they piled the bodies in the center of the arena and set them on fire. The smoke rose for hours, thick and black, carrying the stench of burnt flesh across the entire district. I knew one of the rebels. His name was Derek. We'd worked together in the manufactorum before the takeover. He was a good man, kind, thoughtful. He didn't deserve what happened to him. They didn't kill him in the arena. They kept him alive for something worse. They dragged him to the central plaza, chained him to a post, and slowly flayed him over the course of 3 days. His screams echoed through the city. They broadcasted it on every Vox speaker. A lesson to all of us. Escape attempts are equally futile. The planet is blockaded by chaos fleets. Even if you somehow made it off-world, where would you go? The surrounding systems are either under chaos control or too far to reach, and the wasteland beyond the city is worse than what's inside. Feral mutants, demon-infested ruins, toxic storms. A few people have tried. None have made it back. We find their bodies sometimes, or what's left of them, torn apart by things I don't want to imagine. But the worst part isn't the physical punishments. It's the corruption, the slow, insidious way Khorne seeps into your soul. I've felt it. That rush during a fight. That satisfaction when you bring down an opponent, that dark thrill when you see blood spill. It's intoxicating, and it scares me, because I know that's how they win, not by killing us, but by turning us into them, one violent act at a time. I've seen people change. Workers who were once peaceful become eager for the arenas. Friends who start volunteering for blood rituals. Neighbors who embrace the violence not out of fear, but out of genuine belief. They start painting Khorne symbols on their bodies. They chant the litanies with fervor. They become true believers. And once that happens, they're lost. There's no coming back. Sometimes I wonder if I'm changing too. If the Marcus who worked in the manufactorum, who had a family, who believed in the Emperor, if he's still in here somewhere, or if he died during that first arena fight, and what's left is just a shell, going through the motions, pretending to be human while slowly becoming something else. I don't know, and that terrifies me more than anything. So here I am, still alive, still breathing, still surviving in this nightmare. It's been 3 years since the takeover. 3 years of blood, violence, and despair. 3 years of watching people die, watching myself become something I don't recognize, watching the world burn. People ask me sometimes, usually the newer arrivals who haven't fully grasped their situation, how I've survived this long. The answer is simple. I stopped caring, not in the sense that I don't feel anything. I do. The fear, the anger, the grief, they're all still there, but I've learned to bury them, to lock them away in a place where they can't interfere with what needs to be done. You want to survive under Khorne? You become hard, you become cold, you do what's necessary, and you don't look back. Comparing this life to the Imperium is darkly funny. Back then, I complained about the grind, the endless work, the oppressive bureaucracy, the lack of freedom. Now, I'd give anything to go back to that. At least under the Emperor, I had a chance at a normal life, a family, a future. Here, the future is measured in days, sometimes hours. Every morning I wake up surprised I'm still alive. Every night I go to sleep wondering if tomorrow's the day my number comes up. But in some twisted way, I understand the appeal of Khorne now. The Emperor demanded faith and obedience, but offered nothing tangible in return. Just the promise of a better afterlife, a golden throne you'd never see, a distant god who didn't care about you. Khorne is different. Khorne offers power, immediate, visceral power. You want respect? Earn it with blood. You want safety? Take it with violence. You want meaning? Find it in combat. It's brutal, it's savage, but it's real. And for some people, that's enough. I've thought about giving in, fully embracing it, becoming a true believer like so many others. It would be easier. The internal conflict, the guilt, the memories of who I used to be, all of it would disappear. I'd be free in a way, free from doubt, free from pain, free from humanity. But I can't, not yet. Something inside me, some stubborn, stupid part of me refuses to let go. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's defiance, maybe it's just fear of what I'd become. Rena told me once that hope is a poison here, that the moment you start hoping for rescue, for change, for something better, you're already dead. You become weak, distracted, and weakness kills. She's probably right, but I can't help it. Sometimes late at night, when everyone else is asleep, I allow myself to hope, not for rescue. I'm not that naive, but for something, anything. Maybe the Imperium will launch a counteroffensive. Maybe a loyalist strike force will break through. Maybe by some miracle, I'll find a way off this rock. But deep down, I know the truth. This is my life now. This is my world. Blood and skulls and violence and rage, the arenas, the tithes, the endless grind of survival. I'll keep fighting because that's all there is. I'll keep working because stopping means death. I'll keep pretending I'm still human, because the alternative is too horrifying to accept. They say Khorne doesn't care where the blood comes from, only that it flows. Well, my blood's still flowing, and as long as it is, I'm going to keep going. Not because I'm brave, not because I have some grand purpose, but because I'm too stubborn to die. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Let the galaxy burn. I'll say the words, I'll play the part, but I'll never mean them. Not really. That's my defiance. That's my resistance. In a world of fanatics and madmen, I remain unconvinced. An emperor help me, I'll die unconvinced. Or I'll die screaming in the arena. Either way, at least it'll be over.